Hi and welcome back to another ProPosito video. Today we're going to be doing trigonometry with two sides and an unknown angle. So let's get straight into it. First we're going to label the sides. If you want to know how to do this, just check my video in the description below on how to do trigonometry with one angle and one side. So here we have the opposite, the adjacent and the hypotenuse. Now we have to think about which equation to use. Now a mnemonic I've thought of, which is widely known, which is here in the top corner, and what this basically means is just a way to remember which equation to use. You pronounce it SOHCAHTOA, and what it just means is here's sine opposite over hypotenuse, cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, tan opposite over adjacent, and that's all it means, just a way to remember which equation to use. Okay, so which equation do we need to use? So let's have a look. We have our opposite here, and we have our hypotenuse here. So we want to use sine. This is the equation for us. Okay, so let's write it out. Sine theta, or angle, and that's x in this case, is equal to our opposite 7.5 over our hypotenuse 8.9. Now obviously we need to get x on its own to plug it into our calculator, so let's do a bit of rearranging. To do this we're going to need to swap x with 7.5 over 8.9, so let's do that. So here we go, sine 7.5 over 8.9 equals x. However, we're also going to have to do something else, which I didn't talk about in the last video. For when you only have an unknown angle and two sides, you're going to have to change your function, which is no longer sine. When you swap the equations, when you swap 7.5 with, when you swap your equation here with x, it's going to become sine to the minus 1. Now this is on your calculator. It may be that you need to press shift to find it under sine, but it is there, and this is all you need to do. This is our total equation. Sine to the minus 1, 7.5 over 8.9 is equal to x. And now we just need to put that into our calculator. 7.5 divided by 8.9. What does that equal? 54.425. Now we want to get this to two decimal places, like we did in the last video, so that'll be 57.43. Go back over and write x equals 57.43, and that's all we need to do. To find x, all you need to do, change sign, or whatever equation you're using, to sine to the minus 1, or whichever one you're using, and just put the angles, or the side lengths, in there, in the brackets, and that should give you your answer. So let's try another example. So here we have our triangle. This time we have these two sides labelled. So let's use SOHCAHTOA to find out which we need. But first, let's label the sides. So here we have the opposite, the adjacent, leaving last but not least the hypotenuse. Now let's find out which equation we have to use. So let's use SOHCAHTOA. S, opposite, we don't have that. So let's try cosine. Adjacent, we have that. Hypotenuse, we have that. So this is the equation for us. So first, let's write that out. Cosine x is equal to 5.6 over 9.2. But as we know, we want to have x on its own, so we're going to have to put that there and put x here. So let's quickly do that. So here we have cosine 5.6 over 9.2. We know that is equal to x. But as we know, we can't leave that on its own, so we're going to have to change the cosine to put cosine to the minus 1. There we go. Now we can just put that into our calculator. Cosine to the power of minus 1, 5.6 divided by 9.2. And that should give us our answer of, so cosine to the minus 1 here, 5.6 divided by 9.2. That gives us our answer there, 52.504. And as we know, we round that down to 52.50. And that's all we need to do to work out x. Okay, so let's try one final example. So here we have these two sides, and let's start by labelling them. So this is the opposite, this is the adjacent, and of course this is the hypotenuse. So let's find what equation we need to use by using SOHCAHTOA. Do we have the opposite? Yes. Do we have the hypotenuse? No. So we don't want to use this one. Cosine? Do we have the adjacent? Yes. Do we have the hypotenuse? No. So we don't want to use cosine. So we must use tangent. So let's write that out. Tan x, we know, must be equal to our opposite 6.2 over our adjacent 7.7. Now, what we remember is we need to swap these two around. This one goes there, and that one goes there. And now we can just write that out. Tan 6.2 over 7.7, and we know that that is equal to x. But as you remember, we can't leave tan like that. We have to put it to the -1. And then we can just go over to our calculator. Tan to the -1 is equal to 6.2 over 7.7. So we can just do 6.2 divided by 7.7, and that will give us 38.840, and we round that down to 38.84. And that's all you need to do. So thank you very much for watching this video. Remember to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification icon if you want to see more. And thank you very much. Have a nice day.